Mitzi Gaynor stole the show with Honeybun in the 1958 movie South Pacific. Even now, all these years later, she's still a crowd favorite. The set of South Pacific was a mess. Mitzi Gaynor had to dance on burning hot sand, deal with toxic shampoo, and avoid a real tsunami. But that's not even the craziest part. At 92, she's finally telling the truth about the backstage drama that no one knew about, like why Elizabeth Taylor had a breakdown, and why the movie almost never happened. Mitzi Gaynor was born in Chicago, on September 4, 1931. Her real name was Francesca Marlene de von Gerber, which was as grand as her Hungarian heritage. Her father was a musician and her mother was a dancer. With parents like that, it's not surprising that she was drawn to the stage. She grew up as an only child in a home full of music, rhythm, and ambition during the Great Depression. Her family moved around a lot, first to Elgin, Illinois, then to Detroit, and finally to Los Angeles when she was 11. It changed everything. Los Angeles wasn't just any city, it was the center of the entertainment industry. Her birth name, Francesca Marlene de von Gerber, was full of history, but wasn't quite right for Hollywood. When she started getting noticed, 20th Century Fox suggested she change it. They wanted something catchy and easy to remember, so she became Mitzi Gaynor. Before Hollywood came calling, she was already making waves. She started ballet when she was 11, decades before her ballet started youth. When she started ballet when she was 11, she did training not as a hobby or something to do after school, she was serious about it. By age 13 she was already performing on professional stages. She wanted a part in the Los Angeles Civic Light Opera Company so badly that she lied about her age and said she was 16. It worked, and she got the part in An American in Paris, which showed she wasn't just talented, she was determined. That was just the start. Soon she was in Roberta the Fortune Teller and Naughty Marietta. These weren't just performances, they were lessons. She learned how to keep people's attention, move with confidence, and sing and dance together without any problems. Each show made her stronger, smarter, and more ready for what came next. Her first time on stage, however, wasn't quite as graceful. She was 7 years old and performing at a dance recital. She had practiced and memorized every step, but she forgot to go to the bathroom before going on stage. Halfway through her routine, under the bright lights, disaster struck right there in front of the whole audience. Most kids would have run off and never looked back, but Mitzi stayed backstage for a short time. She wiped her tears, put on some lipstick, and asked if she could go back on. The crowd cheered for both her performance and her bravery that night. At 9, she watched Carmen Miranda perform the music, the colors, and the story. It was bigger than life, and Mitzi realized she didn't want to be in the audience. She wanted to be the one on stage who people couldn't take their eyes off of. That night, something inside her clicked. She wasn't just going to dance or sing, she was going to be a star. By the time she was 13, Mitzi Gaynor was already performing with the Los Angeles Civic Light Opera Company. Her role in Naughty Marietta caught the attention of a 20th Century Fox talent scout, which led to... At the age of 17, she signed a 7-year contract after an audition that changed her life. She was now a part of Hollywood's golden age. The studio loved her energy, dancing, and the way she lit up a room, but they didn't think her name, Francesca Gerber, had the sparkle of a true Hollywood star. They wanted something catchy that people would remember. Mitzi was already a nickname she used, and Gaynor sounded familiar, reminding them of the name of the actress Janet Gaynor. It was a name that felt both glamorous and familiar. Mitzi Gaynor was born, and soon her name was on theater posters all over the country. Her first movie role was as a dancer in My Blue Heaven 1950, a musical with Betty Gray and Dan Daly. She had a small part, but as soon as she stepped on screen she stood out, singing Live Hard, Work Hard, Love Hard. Her confidence made people notice that she wasn't just another actress. The singer in the background, Fox saw that she had something special. By the time she was 19, she had already moved up from supporting parts to leading parts, which is a rare accomplishment in a business full of larger-than-life stars. She came into the spotlight just as Hollywood's musical era was coming to an end. Her first big starring role was in Golden Girl 1951, where she played Elle Crabtree, a real-life performer from the Gold Rush era. The movie had everything: comedy, drama, and elaborate musical numbers. It even had the song Never, which was nominated for an Academy Award. Critics praised Mitzi's energy and audiences loved her. She had charm, presence, and a spark. Fox pushed her into more leading roles after that. In Bloodhounds of Broadway, 1952, she played Emily Ann Sturley, a character with a lot of heart and humor. The movie gave her a chance to show off her comedic skills while singing memorable songs like Blow Me Away. Then came I Don't Care Girl, which came out in 1953 and starred her as Ava Tang, a vaudeville star known for her wild performances. It was a big role, and Mitzi gave it her all, and the movie was a hit, making $11,250,000. The movie made more than $13 million at the box office today. Mitzi Gaynor was unique. She wasn't just talented, she had an energy that made her unforgettable, whether she was dancing across the screen or sharing a scene with Hollywood's biggest stars. In 1954's There's No Business Like Show Business, she was surrounded by legends like Marilyn Monroe, Ethel Merman and Donald O'Connor. The movie was Fox's first musical shot in CinemaScope and Deluxe. Gaynor played Katie Donahue, a member of a vaudeville family, and she lit up the screen from the very first moment she walked on. One of her most memorable roles was A Sailor's Not a Sailor Till a Sailor's Been Tattooed with Ethel Merman. It was fun, high energy, and full of personality, and Gaynor made everything look easy. Critics often compared her to Marilyn Monroe, who had a sultry charm that drew attention to numbers like Heatwave. But Gaynor had something different. Her energy was... Monroe was notorious for being late to set, which annoyed the cast and crew. Despite the delays, Gaynor later admitted that Monroe worked hard to perfect every scene. The film was a commercial success, making $5 million at the box office, but more importantly, it showed Gaynor could hold her own with Hollywood's biggest names. Leaving 20th Century Fox was a risky move that opened up new opportunities. In 1957, she was in 2 big movies at Paramount Pictures, and each one showed a different side of her talent. In The Joker is Wild, she played Martha Stewart, who was in love with Frank Sinatra's character Joe E. Lewis. The movie was based on the true story of a nightclub singer who became a comedian and whose life was full of heartbreak. Sinatra gave one of his most emotional performances, and Gaynor made their scenes together feel real, which made the movie's most emotional moments even stronger. In the same year, she played a lighter role in Les Girls, Gene Kelly's last MGM musical. The story was about 3 dancers who are all telling their own version of what happened in a legal dispute. Gaynor played Joy Henderson, a role that let her mix comedy and dance with Kelly himself. One of their best moments was a playful biker-themed number, an unexpected scene that showed how well she could keep up with Kelly's tight timing and choreography. That's how tough it was to get big parts in Hollywood in the 1950s. The battle for the Ruderick was heated, but not as fierce as the search for the... On Broadway, Mary Martin was unforgettable as Nellie Forbush. She won a Tony Award for her performance and set a standard that seemed impossible to beat. But by the time Hollywood was ready to make the musical into a movie, Martin was in her 40s and the studio thought she was too old to play a young Navy nurse, so they looked for a new Nellie. Some of the biggest stars of the time, like Elizabeth Taylor, wanted the part. She was beautiful and had a great screen presence, but she wasn't good at singing or dancing. That didn't stop her from auditioning though. Her nerves got the best of her. Richard Rodgers, the famous composer of South Pacific, wasn't impressed, and he turned her down right away. Doris Day was another contender. Her singing talent was undeniable, but the producers thought she didn't have the spontaneous energy needed to play Nellie. When Hollywood's biggest names dropped out of the running, an unexpected contender came along. Her name wasn't Mitzi Gaynor, and she had already been in musicals like Anything Goes and Les Girls, but she wasn't as well known as Taylor or Day. What made her stand out was that she could sing, dance, and act, unlike many stars at the time. And she didn't need a voice double. More importantly, she was willing to prove herself, while other actresses hesitated or dropped out. Gaynor agreed to do her first screen test not once, but twice. The audition took place at the Beverly Hills Hotel Ballroom in front of Oscar Hammerstein's II. She sang Honey Bun and a cocked optimist with charm and confidence, capturing exactly what made Nellie such a likable character. Her second test included I'm in Love with a Wonderful Guy, which showed she had the vocal power and emotional depth the part required. The fact that she was willing to try out gave her an advantage. Elizabeth Taylor's stage fright cost her the part, while Doris Day turned down the chance completely. Gaynor, on the other hand, producers saw how hard she worked and cast her as Nellie. But even after she got the part, one person wasn't sure: Richard Rodgers. Rodgers had high standards for casting his musicals, and he knew Gaynor was a strong dancer and actress. But he wasn't sure her voice was good enough. Rodgers' doubt didn't last long though, because as soon as rehearsals started, Gaynor proved him wrong. She spent hours perfecting her songs and working closely with director Joshua Logan to bring... Rodgers finally saw what everyone else had seen all along. Gaynor wasn't just playing the part, she was Nellie Forbush. Filming in Kauai, Hawaii was hard, but Gaynor was fully committed. Unlike many stars of the time, she insisted on singing all her own songs, which wasn't common for Hollywood musicals at the time. Her chemistry with Rossano Brazzi, who played Emile Debec, only grew stronger as filming went on. Their relationship felt natural on screen because taking over a role that Mary Martin had made famous was no easy feat. Many people thought no one could top her Broadway performance, but Gaynor made it her own. She gave Nellie a new energy that was playful, warm, and full of life. When South Pacific came out in 1958, audiences loved her performance. The movie became one of the biggest hits of the year, and Gaynor's performance was praised by many. Even Richard Rodgers, who had doubts about her at first, said she was great. The choice to cast Gaynor was the right one. Filming South Pacific on Kauai in 1957 was supposed to be a dream. The island had lush mountains, golden beaches, and the perfect tropical backdrop. But the production quickly turned into a logistical nightmare. The weather was unpredictable. One minute it was clear, and then there was a sudden rainstorm that forced the crew to stop filming. Kauai is one of the wettest places on Earth, which made continuity very difficult. The lighting in some scenes changes noticeably because of the weather kept changing between takes. You can see this in the "There Is Nothing Like a Dame" scene, where some shots are bright and sunny, and others are darker and cloudier. Then, there was the tsunami warning. On March 9, 1957, a huge wave hit Kauai's north shore, destroying homes and blocking access to key filming locations. Trucks carrying equipment got stuck, and filming had to stop completely. This was even before the tsunami hit. Many cast and crew members had to wait in Honolulu for days before they could even get to the set. Despite this, the filmmakers refused to give up. When bad weather made outdoor shots impossible, they used matte paintings and process shots to fill in the gaps. The delays cost 20th Century Fox thousands of dollars, but the result was worth it. Years later, movies like Jurassic Park and Pirates of the Caribbean would use Kauai as a filming location. Caribbean would follow suit, but the production had to deal with more than just natural disasters. One of the most controversial decisions was the use of color filters during musical numbers. Director Joshua Logan wanted to recreate the dramatic lighting of the stage production, so cinematographer Leon Shamroy put bold color filters directly on the camera lens during Bali High. A deep magenta filter made the scene feel almost like a dream, while golden or slate green hues were used to heighten the drama of other numbers, like Some Enchanted Evening. Rodgers and Hammerstein didn't like the effect because they thought it took away from the music, but some viewers did, and some even thought it was a technical glitch in the theaters. The filters also made some scenes look murky instead of magical, and Logan defended his choice by saying that they helped hide cloudy skies and kept the visuals consistent. Whether it was a bold artistic choice or an unnecessary distraction is still debated today, but love it or hate it, the movie wouldn't be the same without it. For Mitzi Gaynor, South Pacific was a completely different challenge. She was famous for dancing in musicals like There's No Business Like Show Business, but this role didn't give her much chance to show off her dancing skills. As Nellie Forbush, she had to do more singing and acting, and only a few dance scenes. The choreography was based on group numbers instead of solos, which got frustrating at times, and even simple moves were hard to do while filming on Kauai's beaches, especially Lumahai Beach, with their uneven sand. Spread out rocks made it nearly impossible to dance, but Gaynor's energy carried through her performance, and she later said that she missed dancing more but was glad for the chance to show off her voice. Her most famous scene, "I'm Going to Wash That Man Right Out of My Hair," almost didn't happen. It was filmed at Lumahai Beach, where she had to sing and dance under a shower of water, but the shampoo they used burned her eyes so badly that production had to stop. A crew member rushed to Lua. 2-hour round trip to buy Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo. That quick fix saved the scene. The water itself was a problem. Even though it was in a tropical setting, Gaynor had to take freezing showers over and over again while still looking happy on camera. Timing was also hard. She had to make sure her movements matched the music perfectly and that her hair was lathered properly in every shot. Oscar Hammerstein too wasn't sure if the scene would work on film. He was worried that a woman washing her hair would look weird. Hair wasn't visually interesting enough, but Gaynor's contagious energy proved him wrong. The number became one of the most famous moments in the history of musical films. Off-screen, Gaynor had a natural chemistry with her co-star Rossano Brazzi. Their romance in the movie felt real, and part of that came from the fact that they were friends on set. Brazzi, who played Emile Debec, spoke little English at the time, and his singing voice was dubbed by opera singer Giorgio Tozzi. Gaynor often made fun of his thick Italian accent, and he joked about her boundless energy. Their friendship made the long days on set more fun, and their connection showed up beautifully on screen. Even though people later found out that Brazzi wasn't singing Some Enchanted Evening, It doesn't matter, the scene is still one of the most romantic in the history of musical movies. Mitzi Gaynor thought South Pacific would change everything. The 1958 movie South Pacific was a huge hit, making over $36 million worldwide. She was nominated for a Golden Globe and was the only lead actor in the movie to sing her own songs instead of opening doors. It was also one of her last major films. After it came out, she only starred in 3 more movies, none of which were musicals. Happy Anniversary in 1959, Surprise Package in 1960, and For Love or Money in 1963. Looking back, she said she was better at live performances than on film. Hollywood might not have given her the roles she wanted, but she was still a star. Wasn't going to disappear, so she found a new stage. The 1960s were a big time for variety shows, and Gaynor became a regular, bringing her mix of singing, dancing, and comedy to millions of homes. She was a real entertainer and people loved her. One of her biggest moments was when she was the main act on The Ed Sullivan Show during the Beatles' second US appearance. More than 70 million people watched, but Gaynor got the most attention. She held the stage while Birth of the Blues and When the Saints Go Marching In were played backstage. She saw firsthand how quickly the industry was changing. The Beatles were young, new, and changing everything. Her own choreographer even mistakenly thought Paul McCartney was one of the kids on stage because of his boyish face, but Gaynor wasn't scared. She adapted. She started hosting her own TV specials that mixed music, dance, and humor in a way that felt new. Gaynor went even further. By the late 1960s, she had become one of Las Vegas's top performers. Her nightclub act was unlike anything else. She performed at the Flamingo and the Riviera and made an unheard of $45,000 a week, but her performances were worth every penny. She worked with famous designer Bob Mackie to make stunning costumes that became part of her signature style. Life magazine said it best. She started at the top and climbed even higher. In 1970, she made history by becoming the first woman to win the Las Vegas Governor's Trophy for Star Entertainer of the Year. She had conquered film, TV, and now the biggest live stage in America. While Hollywood had moved on from musicals, Gaynor had found new ways to shine. In the 1960s and 1970s, Mitzi Gaynor lit up TV with a series of spectacular specials that turned her into a star. She became famous over 9 shows and 16 Emmy nominations, showing she was more than just a movie star. She could sing, dance, and entertain like no one else. 2 of these specials are considered cultural landmarks. Mitzi, a tribute to the American housewife, in 1974, was a humorous look at family life with elaborate musical numbers. Mitzi, What's Hot and What's Not, in 1978, used music and dance to make fun of changing fashions. A big part of her success came from her partnership with designer Bob Mackie. Mackie, who was known as the Sultan of Sequins, designed costumes that were just as stunning as her performances. They started working together when he designed her Las Vegas stage show in 1966. From then on, he was an important part of her image, making hundreds of stunning outfits over the years. His costumes were brightly colored, covered in intricate beadwork and sequins that sparkled under the stage lights, and each one was made to move with her, making her dance. His work on Mitzi Gaynor in the 20s won him an Emmy in 1976, and the next year he made some of his most stunning costumes for Mitzi Zings Into Spring. Together, they changed the way costumes were made for TV, showing that fashion wasn't just about looking good, it could be a part of the performance. Even after all of her success on TV, Gaynor never lost her love for live theater. In 1989, she played the lead role in a national tour of Anything Goes. She was almost 60 years old, but her energy never wavered. Some people wondered if she could still handle the demands of a big musical, but she not only handled it, she owned it. The tour started at the Orange County Performing Arts Center on September 12, 1989, and went to cities across North America, including Seattle, Toronto, and Nashville. Each night, the crowds rose to their feet and cheered as she gave a show-stopping performance. As she performed, it was a reminder that real talent never fades. One of the most emotional moments of her later career happened in 2009, when she went back to Kauai to celebrate the 50th anniversary of South Pacific. She hadn't been back since filming ended in 1958, and the trip brought back a lot of memories. The island had become more than just a place to film, it had become a part of her story. Kauai's lush landscapes had set the scene for some of the movie's most famous scenes. On the beach, she sang "I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair," and Mount MCA stood in for the mystic Bali High. Filming had its problems. Bad weather caused delays, and at one point a tidal wave stopped work. But the island's beauty made the movie unforgettable, even with all the problems. During her visit, she went to events at the Kauai Marriott Resort, where she talked about her experiences filming and thought about what the movie meant to her. At first, she wasn't sure she wanted to go back. She was afraid that the memories would be too much for her. But when she got there, she felt nothing but gratitude. The island looked a lot the same, and fans welcomed her with open arms. Mitzi Gaynor married Jack Bean in San Francisco on November 18, 1954. At the time, she was leaving her contract with 20th Century Fox, where she had been a rising star in musicals like There's No Business Like Show Business. Hollywood was changing, and so was she. Just as she was figuring out what to do next, Bean made a brave choice and quit his high-profile job. Bean left MCA to start his own public relations firm, Bean and Rose. His first and most important client was his new wife. From the start, Bean saw something in Gaynor that Hollywood hadn't fully recognized. She was more than just a movie star. She had the energy and stage presence to captivate a live audience. He helped her move from movies to live performances and TV specials. And by 1956, she had signed a new contract with Paramount Pictures that included roles in Anything Goes and The Joker is Wild. But film wasn't the only plan. They didn't chase red carpets or big social events like many Hollywood couples did at the time. They liked a quieter life. In 1960, they bought a home in Beverly Hills and turned it into a retreat where they hosted close friends instead of Hollywood power players. Their marriage lasted more than 50 years and was based on love, trust, and a rare balance between their personal and professional lives that they never had before. As kids, they did things that made them different from many of their peers, but it was never something they regretted. Gaynor later said that their relationship was based on deep understanding and constant support. "He was my champion," she once said, and he really was. Bean had given up a promising career at MCA to manage hers because he believed so strongly in her talent that he made it his life's work. Thanks to his vision, Gaynor's career took off long after Hollywood's golden age ended. Her musical revues became big events that drew crowds every year. Some of them were even made into TV shows in the late 1960s and early 1970s, showing that she was a woman of power on stage and on TV across the country.